afternoon to everyone, and thanks to the organizers for inviting me for this event. When Paulomi came to me, I asked from her as to what does she want me to speak on, and then she said, I think a good point will be and a good segue would be to discuss or share my perspective on the kind of reforms that the Department of Commerce and Government of India is taking these days, particularly from the context of special economic zones, which I handle in the ministry as a director, and people are not, at least this is my perspective, people are not that much aware of what are free trade warehousing zones. So I thought that perhaps larger logistic issues are certainly there, and they would be discussed by the industry stakeholders as well as by government officials as well. But I think in this session perhaps I would like to share with all of you as to what we have been doing in that particular space and how that is connected as such with the logistics, and that will be the focus of my talk on this. So, as you know, India has pioneered special economic zone, and it's not like that we only copied other countries, but it goes back to early 60s when an SEZ was created in Kandla. In 2005, what happened was a new act was enacted because government thought that yes, let's have a coherent strategy there, and that's how we started with the Special Economic Zone Act. And then Act started to be administered by the Department of Commerce in coordination with the Department of Revenue. Now where we are, as you know, SEZs have kind of a mixed experience. While they have been created essentially to drive manufacturing in the country, but at the same time services units are also there, and they have been fairly successful also. But I would say, and if you look at the Act also, it is designed per se for the goods manufacturing and movement of goods, and that is perhaps where the challenge lies. And if you look at the mix also, it's kind of 30-70. So if $100 of export is done through special economic zones, around 40% of that is of goods and 60% is of services. Services anyways is India's success story, and perhaps they don't need that kind of an intervention. Also, I fully understand that many of the tax incentives which were offered to them have been withdrawn on the direct tax side. But having said that, what I feel is that still SEZs remain very much relevant, particularly for the manufacturing as well as for the warehousing, where logistics plays an important role. So as we speak, there are some good examples of particularly free trade warehousing zones where I can share with you that we store bullion, so world's bullion belonging to Citibank, to ANZ Greenlays and other marquee names. As we speak, that is stored in India in our free trade warehousing zones, because that is a very seamless movement. You don't need to pay any duty. You can keep your goods duty free there, and then the re-export is also very seamless. So that is one intervention that we have done. It had its own challenges. The experience again has been mixed, and we also understand that. So that is one. The other bit is the core manufacturing part, and in some of the special economic zones which I visited, particularly in the southern part of the country, as we speak, we are manufacturing components and parts of MacBooks also. So we have been very successful in bringing supply chains out of China, out of Southeast Asia into our special economic zones. Another good example that I would like to share with all of you, one particular unit that I visited, and I'm giving these examples to you just to emphasize that already so much is being done in the country and how we can scale it up further. So I visited one unit, and I can certainly take name here, which is and that is one of the global labs of Carl Zeiss optical lens. So I'm sure many of you must have used Carl Zeiss lenses. So they have 6 global kind of fulfillment centers across the world. One of that is in Bangalore, which is in our special economic zone ecosystem. It's an export oriented unit, and it is a classic example of seamless logistics. So the people there, they told me, and they explained to me also, that any order placed across the world, I'm in Germany, I'm in Berlin, I go to a Carl Zeiss optician, I book a lens, and that lens is fulfilled from Bangalore, and they ensure that that order is fulfilled within 48 hours all across the world. So the capability there is to fulfill that order, cover the entire world within 48 hours. So that's a classic example how through integration with customs and using the courier services that are available in the country, they have been able to cater to their worldwide clients and not only to their domestic clients. So similarly, I mentioned to you about the example where we have been very successful in bringing in value chains and kind of onshore them into our country. The Apple Watch components as well as the MacBook components. Similar examples are there. Another classic example that comes to my mind of what we can do in the country from the logistics perspective is that of another apparel SEZ that is there in down south, again in Visakhapatnam, where it's a classic example of clustering, where the entire ecosystem, starting from fabric to dyeing to cutting and then eventual packing, is also there, and we have been very seamlessly working there as well. So these are some good examples. I wanted to start with some positive stories here, just to emphasize that there are ample opportunities to manufacture and to supply to the world within the current ecosystem. Now, having said that, it's not my argument that reforms are not required. Certainly, reforms are required and very much required here, because using these interventions, we have seen that there are examples where countries have been able to really scale up both in terms of the skill available, the value chain integration, as well as the increasing the share of manufacturing, which in turns create value and high quality jobs in your country, and that is where perhaps from the reform side we are looking at. So the first and the foremost reform that we are pursuing, and I'm sure you must have read in the news, in public domain also, is our SEZs currently are kind of isolated from our domestic tariff areas, which is not the case world over. So at the time, now is the time when there is so much of uncertainty globally. Now is the time that the such interventions should have the flexibility to cater to the domestic market as well. While we understand that certain tax benefits are given to them, they have the facility of zero rating of services also, which is not available elsewhere. But world over, when it comes to clearance of goods from special economic zones to domestic tariff area, the standard is it's on kind of what we know in the technical parlance as duty forgone. Essentially, in simple terms, what duty forgone means is that if you are producing, say, a product B, which in which inputs X and Y were used, and X was imported, and you basically did not pay a 10% customs duty because you are bringing it into an SEZ. So when you clear those goods into domestic tariff area, you only pay that much of duty which you had foregone, and that's standard in China, that's standard in the US and elsewhere. So there are certain concerns, but we have been trying to mollify those concerns as well. Now, what is happening because of this impediment is, and again I can give you a concrete example, is that Nike shoes, again I'm giving examples because that really helps in understanding what is the challenge. So Nike shoes are manufactured say in a country with which India has a free trade agreement. So because of that free trade agreement, those imports come to India duty free, and we know that we have a typical inverted duty structure. So the finished goods attract 0% duty, while at the same time that same Nike manufacturing system is available in India, in one of our SEZs down south, again in Chennai, but the manufacturers there are not able to clear those very goods into India, and if cleared, that good attract around 40% of duty, because that is treated as an import into the country. So here is a paradox where they are, because of the global challenges, their export demand is subdued. At the same time, I am importing goods from my FTA partner duty free. So this is kind of a perverse incentive, so to say, that we have created in the system, and we are trying to address that as well. So this is one reform, and I think it's important to discuss here, because I think unless we undertake such reforms when Indian market is growing, I think the kind of investment that we have already created in these kind of domestic industrial ecosystem, I think we will not be able to create a very harmonious system and really scale up our manufacturing. Another good example I would like to share with you on the services side, and which is also a very stark example. We have purchased, for example, Rafale planes from France. Now, when a fighter plane comes, it's just a bare shell. What makes it potent is the avionics that are installed into that. So there are a lot of value-added services that are to be provided on that. So what we have done is, our companies have kind of collaborated with the French defense manufacturers, and they have created manufacturing setup in the country. Now the challenge is, again, if you are in a special economic zone and you are providing services of any kind to any domestic tariff area customer, for example, Ministry of Defense, now you cannot accept payments in Indian rupees, right? So I don't know what kind of relic it is, but the policy stands like that. So defense cannot pay you in dollars because you are in India. Their contract is like that. So what is happening? My planes, which can be very well serviced or equipped, or some services can be provided to them by the players which are available in India, they have to be flown out of the country. And then you have to spend precious foreign exchange on that. So that is also, one of the policy challenge that we have been trying to address. And I think all these interventions essentially, help us in integrating the country into one, where we have created, artificial silos. So I thought, to share these thoughts with you. The another thing that I would like to highlight here is on the free trade warehousing zones. I think I mentioned in the beginning. Now that is a very typical intervention which are, although within the framework of special economic zones, but they are treated in a very different way, because what essentially you are providing are warehousing services, and you are not really manufacturing. It's minimal processing, I think, that you are looking at. So I think the treatment remains very different. Now what happens is, because of that, again, a very, very good example here is that you are a domestic manufacturer, you are an exporter, and you are exporting your goods out of the country, and you want to, for any reason, you want to store those goods before they are eventually exported, or your business model is like that you have to store them for certain period before they are eventually exported. Now, if those goods are kind of shipped and stored in a free trade warehousing zone, and then eventually these are exported out, then the domestic manufacturer or the domestic exporter will not be eligible for certain benefits in terms of duty remissions and others. While if they are directly exported out of the country, then you are eligible for that. So I think that again creates some kind of a perverse incentive for our domestic exporters to avail these again world-class facilities. But what has happened is that if you go to some of these warehousing zones, companies and entities have invested quite a good amount of money, and again a world-class infrastructure has been created there. So I think artificially what we have done is we have kind of excluded our domestic entities and manufacturers from availing the facilities which are already available in the country. So we have been trying to address that. One recent intervention in a particular sector of gems and jewelry we did also, which is a positive example. So I'm sure you must be aware that Gulf and particularly UAE is a large hub for gems and jewelry export for India, and there are large number of jewelry manufacturers which are located in UAE and particularly Dubai. So when this conflict started in Gulf, they were quite concerned about the safety and security of their stocks there. Because of various challenges which are happening, in that part of the world. So they reached out to us requesting that if the jewelry or the precious items which are there with them in UAE, if they can be stored in our FTWZs. Because as I mentioned to you, it being a bonded area, it being a foreign territory for customs purposes, you can basically store them duty free, bring in them duty free, store them, pay the warehousing charges and ship it back out of the country. So long as you are not bringing those goods into India, you need not pay any duty, right? So it's a very, very good intervention, so to say. So, but I think there were some policy challenges there, and then catering to the demand of the industry, we promptly issued a clarification which enabled even jewelry to be stored in the free trade warehousing zone. So it's kind of a clarification, but we responded to. So why I am sharing again this thought with you is that government currently is very agile, receptive to the demands which are coming from the industry, and we have been working relentlessly to really remove the pain points which industry is facing because of the current challenges exacerbated by the conflict in Gulf. There were challenges earlier also, perhaps accentuated by what we are seeing in our immediate neighborhood. So we are quite receptive, and we have been trying to align our policies also, so that in terms of logistics also. So I'm sure you would appreciate that in terms of logistics also, it becomes quite seamless for any manufacturer or exporter if they are able to use these kind of warehouses where they can avail the facilities without paying duties. But again, there is a flip side to it also. Currently, how these warehouses are positioned is that some of the foreign suppliers who want to keep their goods here, they are not able to avail duty benefits, particularly on the services side, the GST benefits. So we are working on that as well. But the main takeaway, I think, for all of you from my side would be that government is particularly from the export side, and this has been emphasized by our leadership also and senior officials as well. We are quite receptive, quite open to suggestions, to inputs, and we have been working hard to bring in those reforms so that the ease of doing business is further promoted. I gave you some concrete examples there as well. The second point that I would like to, in summary, would like to say that the interventions which are currently available, I'm particularly talking about special economic zones because I handle that, so I can speak with some authority there. There are some good examples there where people have been using that ecosystem and they have been able to onshore some of the supply chains also. I gave you a couple of examples as well. So it's not like all doom. I understand that since tax benefits were withdrawn, people do feel that this is not a place to really manufacture, but there are some good examples there. So that shows that yes, policy intent is there, and then as I mentioned, if there are any challenges, any hurdles, then certainly we are there to support the industry. And the third point is that yes, we are aware of the large pain points, but I would certainly exhort industry to be forthcoming. Let us know through export promotion councils or directly if you feel that further interventions are required, and we would certainly take them forward. So this is what I thought to share with you all today on this, and thanks a lot for giving me this space. Thank you.